Hi, I'm Ellen from the Chili Dog. I've just cast on stitches for my polarity hat, and today I'd like to show you how to arrange your stitches on knitting needles for small circumference knitting like I'm using to shape the top of my hat. I'll be setting things up on 4 different styles of knitting needles: rigid double-pointed needles, or DPNs, flexible DPNs, 2 long circular needles, and the magic loop method on 1 long circular needle. I'll also show you how things look both at the beginning when you first cast on and when you have got a little bit further around on your hat. Before we begin, if you enjoy our videos, consider joining the pack and becoming a member of thechilidog.com for ad-free access to our entire learning library, priority support, and more. First, let's review what small circumference knitting is and situations you would use it. Often, when you're knitting in the round, you would use a long circular needle that's 16 or more inches long, so you could just knit your stitches all the way around your needles. This works great for sweaters knit in the round, or maybe even the brim of a hat like this one. However, when you need to knit around a circumference that's less than 16 inches, a standard circular needle will be too long to hold all your stitches. That's small circumference knitting. It's used when you shape the top of a hat like this one, or knit socks or mittens. Many patterns, especially hat patterns, will tell you to use rigid double-pointed needles, or DPNs, for small circumference knitting. This can work especially well for hats because the shaping increases or decreases are often spaced to happen once or twice in each quarter of the hat. If you divide your stitches evenly with a quarter of your stitches on each DPN, and then knit with the 5th DPN, you may not have to do much counting as you knit around and around. And it can be helpful to clip a locking stitch marker on the right side of your work to indicate where the beginning or end of your round is going to be. In my case, I know every time I get to this needle, my stitch marker is at the beginning of the round. But some knitters don't enjoy rigid DPNs. They think it feels like knitting with a porcupine. The good news is there are other options for small circumference knitting, even if your pattern specifically calls for DPNs. If you like how compact DPNs are, but don't enjoy needle tips sticking out everywhere, you may prefer flexible DPNs like the Addi FlexiFlips I'm using for small circumference knitting. Rather than having your stitches divided evenly on 4 needles, they're divided evenly on 2 needles, and then you knit with a 3rd flexible DPN. You can use stitch markers at the center of each needle so you can easily see each quadrant or quarter of stitches as you knit around and around. Again, clipping a locking stitch marker to indicate the beginning of the round or the end of the round can be helpful. It may seem counterintuitive at first, but you can also use 2 long circular needles for small circumference knitting. In this case, your stitches are divided so that half the stitches are held on each needle. And if you need to recognize each quadrant for shaping, you can place stitch markers at the center of each needle. Again, clipping a locking stitch marker on the right side can show you the location of either the beginning of the round or the end of the round. As you knit around, the stitches are always knit and held on the same needle. So you would begin by sliding the stitches to the needle tip using the other end of the same needle and working across, pulling the stitches down to the cord, and then rotating and doing the same on the other side. Finally, we come to magic loop knitting. This is a good option, especially for hat knitting, if you only want to use one long circular needle for your entire project. Stitches are divided in half, so half of your stitches are on one needle. Your cord forms this butterfly wing at the side, and then half of your stitches are on the other end and the other needle tip. Like before, markers can be placed at the center of each half to indicate your quadrants, and you can also use a locking stitch marker on the right side of your knitting to remind you where the beginning of the round or the end of the round is located. To knit using the magic loop method, you slide the stitches that you're ready to work up to the needle tip. You have your butterfly wing here at the side. The stitches you just worked are on the other needle tip. You pull it through. The butterfly wing gets smaller, but don't let it disappear. And then you begin knitting across with the needle tip, and you'll have a little butterfly wing on this side as well. So you would knit all the way across and then repeat the process for the second half of the round. I hope you enjoyed learning how to divide your stitches for small circumference knitting on a variety of different needle styles. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more knitting tutorials. If you'd like to try this technique in a pattern, head over to the shop section of thechilidog.com and look for our polarity hat. Until we stitch again, happy knitting!